Could we see Davante Adams back in the AFC West, but playing for the Broncos this time? NFL free agency unofficially gets started on Monday, officially gets started on Wednesday, and I want to talk about all of the free agency rumors out there surrounding the Denver Broncos. So let's discuss the possibility of Denver pursuing Davante Adams. The Jets moved on from Adams, as we all know by now, I hope. If not, welcome from your big slumber, and he is going to be eligible to sign anywhere. Now, there are currently two trains of thought. Bears eat beats. Now, two trains of thought are he's going to follow Aaron Rodgers wherever he goes, or he's going to return to the West Coast. He's a California guy, and he wants to return back towards that neck of the woods, which could help a case for him going to the Broncos, but I don't think of West Coast when I think of Denver. That's not really the West Coast I'm picturing of. I'm picturing of California. But Bleacher Report came out with an article that talked about some Adams destinations, and they included the Broncos. So if it's on their radar, we can at least discuss the possibility, since he's a pretty good receiver, and this seems like a move Denver could have interest in to surround Bo Nix with more talent. Here's what James Palmer said. If they want to extend Courtland Sutton, which probably won't break the bank, they could afford to pay another wide receiver because the rest of the wide receiver group is on rookie deals. I don't think Davante is coming in to be your number one, but he's coming in to help your receiver core as a group, and so I find Denver to be kind of appealing. I do think there are some pros to the idea of Adams coming over to the Broncos. I don't think he's going to command that much money at this stage of his career. You can see the top 10 highest paid receivers in football. If anything, he'll be close to number 10, but I'm guessing it's like a 1 year, $20 to $25 million contract. I don't think it's going to be sniffing top 10 or top 5, if anything at all. But he has played some really good football, obviously. I mean, this is not new information that Davante Adams is an awesome receiver. I do believe that the numbers speak for themselves and that they are slowing down. 2024, you can chalk up to playing for the Raiders for the first half and then playing for the Jets, although he had Aaron Rodgers, so you think with the Jets that he would be really, really good. And he was much better with the Jets than with the Raiders, but yeah, you go from 14 touchdowns in 2022 to 8 touchdowns the last 2 seasons. That's probably not an anomaly or a one-off. That's probably an accurate representation of the trajectory he is headed towards on his career. So that's why I'm not over the moon about signing Adams, because you're probably picturing Green Bay Davante Adams or like 2022 Raider Davante Adams. That player's not walking on the field anymore. And also, that player's never played with a quarterback that wasn't named Derek Carr, who you played with in college, or Aaron Rodgers, outside of a little Gardner Minshew, and I don't know if he even played with Aiden O'Connell this year, but we saw how poorly it worked. So tossing him into the fire with a new quarterback may not be the best fit if you're trying to find a quick one-hit success in a 1-year contract. So if it's up to me, as fun as it might be to sign Davante Adams in theory, in execution, I don't think it's going to work out. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like when the Titans signed DeAndre Hopkins. Was Hopkins bad with Tennessee? No, he wasn't bad. Was he what they probably were hoping for or pictured in their head? No, I don't think he was. And I think that's probably going to happen to Denver. And if you can avoid that by saving $20 to $25-ish million, I mean, he's going to sign, let's say 15 to 22. I think that's a better range for him. I'd rather save that money and allocate it elsewhere. So if it's up to me, I'm actually going to pass on Davante Adams for the Broncos. Now, coming up, I want to talk more about the Broncos free agency plan. Another wide receiver that there are some talks of being possible for Denver to go after in the trade market, because NFL free agency, as we've already seen by now, is off and running, and it's an absolute blast. It's one of my favorite 2 to 3 weeks in the entire NFL calendar, so make sure you stick around for more on that in just a moment. But first things first, if you want to get some more Broncos gear after a very successful 2024 campaign, get this Broncos winter hat that is 70% off when you go to chatsports.com/DEN hat. I put this link in the comments and description of today's video. So if you want to get something that usually costs $35, that's less than $10 right now, scroll on down and click this link. So more from Bleacher Report and James Palmer. I think they're going to be an interesting team to watch in free agency. I don't think they're going to go out there and spend like crazy, but they do have the ability with a rookie quarterback contract and some of that Russell Wilson money starting to come off the books that you can go out and make a move. I find them kind of relatively easy. And this is true. Broncos do have a comfortable cap space right now, right around 34-ish million, but this number is always fluid as guys get restructured, get cut, and then players get signed. So overall, yes, Denver does have the capability and the flexibility to go out and make pretty much any move that they want. Don't look at 34 million and let's say Denver signs someone to $34 million. Their cap hit's not going to be $34 million. So you can structure contracts in a way where the cap hits are larger towards the end of the deal. So you're not limited by the $34 million in terms of total money given on a contract. You just can't have more than $34 million in cap space. Although, as soon as the new league year begins, you can go in the red for the cap, and you just have to be in the green sometime in, I think it's September, after roster cutdown day. But you can overspend and then make some restructures, make some moves, and get back in the green when you have to later on. But the player that I see popping up a handful of times is Brandon Aiyuk, because I don't know why. Let's say because, and I have a reason. I don't have a reason. The 49ers just dealt Deebo Samuel. They extended Aiyuk not even a year ago. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. When I was driving to Indianapolis for the Combine, I was reading an article from The Athletic about some of the trade rumors out there. And in it, it said 49ers receiver Brandon Aiyuk. And riding shotgun with me was our 49ers host, Chase Sr. And we laughed because we're like, man, what a typo. They mean Deebo Samuel. They got the wrong Niners receiver. No, I don't think they do have the wrong Niners receiver. I think the Niners are having some regret overextending Aiyuk, and they are very much interested in seeing what they could get back and just cutting their losses because they gave him a boatload of money and $76 million in guarantees with 45 of that already paid out. So for a new team, it would not be difficult to take on the rest of Aiyuk's contract because all you're on the hook for is the unpaid guaranteed money. I'm talking base salaries. I'm talking signing bonuses. You're not trading for his cap hits. You're trading for cash that he is owed that has not been paid, which is $76 million or $45 million subtracted by $76 million. But as we were saying earlier in the video, a receiver addition makes some sense with Bo Nix having a really strong rookie year. That's kind of the natural progression, right? You hit on your quarterback, okay, now let's really spend to build around him. It's exactly what Houston did last year with C.J. Stroud. Oh, we've got something in Stroud, let's go trade for Stephon Diggs. Let's go make some more wide receiver acquisitions. Same-ish for Adams. I'm not over the moon about Aiyuk. If Denver acquires either of these receivers, I'm not going to be sulking and going, oh my God, what an awful move by them. But I will be probably the first to tell you, I'm not going to be at the front of the parade for this signing or this trade because I don't think it's going to work out as well as people might hope for. So I won't go for a full Shark Tank for that reason. I'm out. But I just don't think that an Aiyuk trade is going to move mountains like people might think it will. He's coming off torn ACL and MCL. It's a pretty severe knee injury right there. There have been some diva concerns, which, listen, every wide receiver for the most part has some diva in them. I mean, you just got to think about what comes to the territory of being a wide receiver. Your livelihood is dependent on getting the football. If they don't throw to you, you don't get yards, you don't get touchdowns, you don't get paid. So over time, you start to realize my next paycheck is dependent on if this ball comes to me. And if it doesn't, I'm going to have a hissy fit on the sideline. So I can understand how receivers get that way over the course of their lives and their careers. But if I had to pick one, I'd go with Adams because he's not going to cost you anything in a trade. You can just sign him in free agency. You can just give him a 1-year, $18 million contract and see where it goes. Whereas with Aiyuk, I think you're giving up a second or third round draft pick, and then you're taking on the rest of his contract. So I'd go with the cheaper option, not just in total money, but also in draft capital required to acquire that guy. So I'll say Davante Adams. Let me know which receiver you would pick down below in the comment section. Appreciate everyone for watching. We also got to do a name a random. So let's do name a random 2010s wide receiver, because that's more of like Davante Adams' era. Name a random 2010s, I don't say Broncos, just 2010s wide receiver. I've got one in mind. I'm going to count down. 3, 2, 1. Eric Decker. Who'd you say? Deshaun Jackson. That's a great one. I'll go with Eric Decker. Let me know if you said the same name down below. And that will do it for us on today's episode. I'll see everyone later with more Broncos news and rumors.